Take a walk down almost any suburban street today. The lawns are manicured and the driveways are full, but the sidewalks are empty. We are living closer together than ever before, yet experiencing record levels of spiritual isolation. 2,000 years ago, the early church faced a completely different world, but used a remarkably simple tool to build community. In Acts chapter 2, they didn't rely on massive events or complex programs. They fought isolation by breaking bread from house to house. In 2026, Gordon and Ellen Stewart established Daily Bread, Loaves for Hope in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. They run the entire initiative as an artisan microbakery, operating directly out of their own kitchen. In an era of digital disconnection, the intensely physical act of baking a loaf of bread and handing it to a neighbor forces genuine face-to-face interaction. A sourdough starter is incredibly basic, just flour, water, and time. But as you can see here, the natural fermentation causes it to actively bubble and expand, serving as a living, physical example of multiplication. This physical expansion mirrors the biblical account in Matthew 14, where Jesus took 5 loaves and 2 fish and multiplied them to feed 5,000 people. It is an application of kingdom economics. This is the biblical principle that God takes small, faithful, consistent inputs and multiplies them into disproportionate outputs. When a bakery is built on this principle instead of just profit margins, an ordinary home kitchen transforms into a base for neighborhood outreach. The work begins long before anyone knocks on a door. Ellen spends about 30 hours a week managing the sourdough starter, mixing dough, and overseeing the bake cycle. A single bake day produces 24 loaves, scaling to over 160 loaves a month. To sustain this volume, Daily Bread uses a dual revenue model. A fraction are sold storefront at $10, while the majority are subsidized by donor missionaries at $3 a loaf. 70% of the surplus from retail sales is systematically poured back into the ministry, covering the costs of better ingredients, packaging, and expanded outreach. By funding a pastoral mission through a functioning microbusiness, the operation creates its own financial momentum without relying entirely on outside charity. Once the bread cools, Gordon takes over. He delivers the loaves directly to neighbors and trains new missionaries using the MAL method: model, assist, watch, and launch. Every delivery is a structured ministry moment. Offering a fresh loaf of bread naturally opens a conversation and earns Gordon the right to ask if he can pray for the person standing in the doorway. This document outlines exactly how those moments are funded. Looking at the bread ministry section, that $30 covers the logistics of door-to-door delivery, tracking the conversations, and organizing prayer meetings. It is a practical application of John chapter 6. The physical bread meets an immediate need and builds trust, creating an opportunity to share Jesus as the bread of life. The suburban front door is one of the most accessible mission fields in modern life, and a warm loaf of bread provides the specific, physical reason to approach it. Look at these specific targets for December 2026. The goal is to scale up to 500 loaves a month, which will generate over 5,000 direct gospel conversations every year. To hit those numbers, they use a multiplication model. A single active baker supplies 4 trained missionaries in the field. Within 12 months, that network is designed to expand to 16 active missionaries. This chart details the funding needed to reach that scale. They are looking to close a monthly gap of $6,240. Looking at the center tier, 6 partners committing $500 a month funds nearly half the operation. By partnering financially, you are providing the raw materials and labor hours required to sustain these 5,000 annual interactions. There are multiple ways to get involved if a financial commitment isn't an option. This graphic lays out 3 alternative paths: joining the weekly prayer meetings, connecting a local church, or opening up your own street for Gordon and Ellen to visit. While the kitchen produces bread, the ultimate goal is to produce believers who feel equipped to initiate spiritual conversations on their own streets. It starts with the physical handoff. Ellen passes the fresh bread to Gordon, moving the mission from careful preparation into frontline action. Every loaf pulled from the oven is an act of faith. And it proves that the simplest tools, when offered to God, can change an entire neighborhood